Hi, my name is Linda Priaulx, and I am the host of a podcast called Aging in Place Strategies and Answers. And you can find that podcast wherever you look for your favorite or listen to your favorite podcast. I'm offering tips and tools as well as strategies and answers for those seniors who want to age in place and want to do it successfully. And I also have interviews with professionals that you're going to need to be able to age in place and make adjustments as your care needs change. But if you find yourself in a healthcare crisis with a loved one, please know that is plenty of information out there for you on my podcast to help you through that. But I want you to meet my special friend, Polly Lemire.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm a tiny habits coach. It sounds like, in fact, everything I do, it sounds so ridiculously simple, but it's also very profound. And what I do is specialize in helping seniors like myself. I'm 82 years old, helping seniors live lives that are more satisfying, filled with more self-confidence and self-esteem instead of feeling small and diminished, and living really their best life, no matter what the age is or what the numbers are. And I do this with workshops, and I also have a website on the internet called Thrive After 65. And you'll find more about both of our businesses in the captions below.
Absolutely. So, Polly and I met just a few months ago, but when we had our first meeting, we realized that we're very like-minded, and we felt that as seniors, we often felt diminished or set aside or told that we were getting old, and that just doesn't resonate well with us. And so we decided to come together, marrying my strategies, my advocacy, my professionals, and the aging in place mindset with Polly's tiny habits that can actually help us move from point A to point B and not to feel you're old
Overwhelmed, especially overwhelmed. I
and
think that
overwhelmed.
that's one of the biggest reasons why I started teaching tiny habits because, we're going as these spacesuits of ours get older, they need part replacements and so on and so forth. And it's very easy to feel diminished and smaller because we're treated a lot of times in the medical system like numbers. And so that was one of my big motivations for working with seniors and really showing simple ways that we can get more satisfaction and happiness and joy out of our lives.
So that's why we're bringing you this video called Seniors,
Seniors,
Can
can
We
we
Talk?
talk?
Well, Polly, how was your holiday?
Oh, it was great. I went to New York to be with the grandchildren and enjoyed Christmas. And then I came back home for about 4 days. And then I went back to New York because I had the opportunity to go to the opera and couldn't turn that down. So there I went. And so I was a little bit delayed in starting my New Year's. In fact, this week is the week that I'm starting my New Year's, my whole New Year's process.
And I feel the same for me. We had a beautiful holiday, family, and then we had New Year's. Then my daughter had a baby. So I feel too that while they were pleasurable and wonderful in every way and loved it, I feel like I'm a step and a half behind. But I want to talk about New Year's. We've got a whole new year ahead, and I have to be honest with you, I don't really understand all this New Year stuff that the media throws at us. I mean, let's face it, we've been there, done that. And so I'm just trying to figure out what's the best way to start my new year for me. So, that song that they play,
All Lang
Old Lang
Syne.
Syne, oh my gosh. Um, I was trying to figure out where that started, where that song became the most melancholy, depressing song it is to me. I have, hopefully I don't offend anybody who loves the song, but to me it seems a little sad to be thinking about a whole year ahead and then having this song about old friends having a drink, recalling adventures they had long ago. But apparently, Guy Lombardo, the band leader that most seniors remember, had a New Year's Eve special, and he's the one. He's that guy that started that song. How do you see that song, Polly?
It's true that that song, it's gloomy. It's a drink, it's an old Irish or Scottish drinking song about, oh, we're so sad to see the past go, blah, blah, blah. And even the tone now, da, 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 it's sort of a downer. My favorite song well, actually, we were talking before this started. If I could choose a song to start off the year with, it would be either the Rocky song, dun 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 dun, or the Star Wars song, or something that's really or New York, New York with Frank Sinatra. Whatever it is, New York, here I come. I'm going to conquer the world. That's what
Yes,
I want to start off with, not some sad, oh, I'm so sad about the past. And that's the one message that most of us seniors, the least message we need to hear about
right,
sadness
exactly.
about
Oh
the
gosh, we've
past.
got a whole nother year. Yeah, so I'm
Yeah.
already down. And then somebody had the great idea to bring up the fact that we've got to make New Year's resolutions.
Oh, there's a real trap.
Oh boy, yeah, and we're going to talk about that. But I just have to go off for a minute on talking about New Year's resolutions because I have tried, I'm the person who is willing to try. I tried and I failed. And so already in the new year, I'm already knowing that if I set a New Year's resolution, I'm going to fail because that has been my past. And on my Facebook page, I actually mentioned, because I heard this on the news, that January 10th is actually known as National Quitters Day, when most people have failed at implementing and following through on their resolutions. And my thinking as a senior and is why would I set myself up for failure? So I am not doing New Year's resolutions. Okay. I don't get them. I don't know where they came from, but I'm kind of nerdy. And so I had to do a little research to find out where we got into this old lang syne and where we got into this setting New Year's resolutions, and found out that that tradition goes way back over 4,000 years, and that people saw the new year as a time of reflection, a time of renewal, a time of rededication. But in modern times, we've changed that so that we're usually focusing on exercise, spending less, being kinder, being a better person, and then eating healthier. And those aren't bad goals to have. I feel like I want those goals, but I can just definitely tell you that I have failed at New Year's
And
resolutions.
one of the reasons, and this is probably the first thing that I would love to share with you, is we tend to and the reason why New Year's resolutions fail is in many cases we make them based on things we think we should do instead of making them about something we want to do. Like it's one thing to say, I need to exercise because that's going to make me healthy. It's another thing to say, I want to exercise so that I can walk around museums in Paris next spring.
Yes. So that was pretty profound. And this is why I failed. It's because I didn't necessarily want to lose weight. I mean, I did, but I thought maybe I should. Like there was nobody standing over me saying, "You should." Um, I should exercise, but do I want to exercise? So what you
And do
said
you
is
have a reason, a real deep reason? What is the benefit? So yeah, that a lot of times we make these generalized kinds of resolutions, but they're not attached to our hearts.
right, right. There's no
They're just
skin in
up
the
in our
game.
brains. And that's why motivation, especially, which we're counting on, doesn't work because when it's something you're just forcing yourself to do and you have to get up out of bed every morning and redecide to recommit to doing the exercise or the diet, that's a heavy load to carry. Whereas if you make it a teeny tiny behavior that's really, really easy to do, maybe that is something that could be much more consistent and actually become a habit.
Right. And I think that's huge. So we're going to take that forward in our conversation. And I think as seniors, are we just used to doing the same old thing day after day and every day looks the
I
same?
call that the COVID syndrome or the pandemic syndrome. I think if you just look at your friends and how they handled the whole pandemic, there were some people who just slithered around in their pajamas all day, never bothered to put on makeup. Every day they lost total track of time. They were depressed, anxious, and so on and so forth. And then you have friends, and I admit I'm one of those ones. I still got up. I put on my mascara every day. I had an agenda of things I was going to do. I kept up with my friends and so on and so forth. And no, it was a challenge. Obviously, that was a challenge. But I did not go around feeling anxious and depressed all the time. And I think it was mostly because I had habits that I kept up. I had activities to do. And with aging, what can happen is going after, if you're not diving into an embracing life, if you're just running away from the past or looking back at the past, your brain is aging. And one of the best anti-aging serums that you can use is to have new intentions, be learning new things, and do things that you want to do to have a positive outlook in that way. So, while you don't have to have New Year's resolutions, it's important to take a look, especially at the beginning of the year, at new things you'd like to try, new things you'd like to learn, and set some intentions and perhaps a few new habits about those things, things that you want to do, things that are new, because when you're learning new things and doing new things, you are helping your brain's plasticity because your brain is always growing. Your brain does just not, as soon as you turn 65, your brain does not slide right downhill. And that's
Yes.
one of the biggest things they've learned in the field of neuroscience. We used to assume as soon as you get a certain age, you retire, and then you end up going to the nursing home. And that's just not true. Your brain is plastic. It is growing all the time. Yes, some of us might get some diseases of the brain, but that is not how would I say? It is not a pronunciation that is going to happen for
Yeah, it is
everybody
not
who has any difficulties, and we have Alzheimer's, dementia, and that kind of thing. There's thousands of us whose brains are still growing and who that need to grow only if we will give it the stimulation that it needs.
exactly. And that's one of the reasons why we chatted about starting this podcast. Seniors, can we talk? Because we come into contact with people who are not in a growth mindset. The brain is a muscle, and if we don't use it, we lose it. And so I love the thought of having more of an intention and having a growth mindset for the new year. And I feel like that I can embrace and take in, but I've got some things to learn from you, Polly. So I had a fall, and that was in November. I broke a bone in my foot. I have had surgery. I have had a cast. I have had a walking boot. I have been in a shoe. And I my doctor told me that my therapy is really to walk. So I'm trying to get back into walking. That's my intention for right now. So I'm going to, instead of a resolution, I'm going to rephrase and make that an intention. So, Polly, I know that my brain tells me that I want to walk 10,000 steps, but I'm not going to get there because I already tried to walk and I'm moving like a turtle. So it's going to be a long time before my foot is ready for 10,000 steps. So, what should I do first? Uh,
I think that's probably the most important part of what we've learned from a science point of view about establishing new behaviors. The first thing is it's so easy to get overwhelmed, especially when you're trying to do something. And for me, I have two hip replacements. My therapy to this day is to do 20 minutes of light aerobics every morning. It is not my favorite thing to do. And what I want to share with you is that the downside or the challenge for most of us who are getting older and who want to do more activity, especially physical activity, is that not only is it something maybe we haven't done all our lives, but it's not necessarily comfortable either. So it's very easy to get overwhelmed. And that's where the tiny habits method comes in. Because instead of looking at a goal of 10,000 steps a day, I want you to make it really, really, really tiny. And this is how tiny I want you to make it. Your new habit is going to be after you finish your breakfast, which we have talked a little bit before this podcast. After you finish breakfast, what you're going to do is after I finish my breakfast, I will put on my walking shoes. And then anything else beyond that is a bonus. There'll be some days that are going to come up where real life interrupts you and maybe all you'll do is at least say, well, at least I put them on, but now I have to do a whole bunch of other stuff.
yeah, that seems really small, Polly. Like I can, in my brain, I'm saying, I think I need more than that, but you're
Right,
saying that that's
right.
really a good
So
step.
this tiny step is your it's your starter step. It's the starter step, and doing it consistently is that leads to creating a habit. So if every day you got now maybe 1 or 2 days out of a month or 3 days, maybe there's something happened. But this is the thing about all New Year's resolutions or new behaviors. Real life is always going to interrupt you, and you need to have a place, a starting place to go back to after the interruption, whether it's a vacation, an illness, an appointment that you had to leave early in the morning for. There are going to be days you can't do that little habit. But if you have a starter place that already has a prompt because it's your behavior and it happens every single day, and you just have to go back to that. That's a lot easier than going back to getting out of bed and saying to yourself, oh my gosh, I've been on vacation and now I have to go back to doing 10,000 steps a day.
Right.
How will I ever do it? It's just
Yes.
too much. I don't have enough willpower. Forget it. I blew it. I've already gone on vacation. I don't have enough willpower. I can't do it.
But my brain, what you're saying is my brain has gone back to that. I have my breakfast at 8. I put on my shoes. All right. So I go back to that point and I start again.
Mhm.
And then what's my next step?
Okay. So the first step is making it really, really tiny. Something that you can do, something that's tied into a daily activity that you already do every day. And then you put on those shoes and you say to yourself, woohoo, I did it. This sounds so ridiculous. And I give these little pom-poms out whenever I'm teaching a workshop. The point is this, and this is one of the biggest findings as far as habit formation goes from the world of neuroscience. We used to think that if you want to start a new habit, the way to do it is you have to do it for 21 days, and that's the only
Yes.
thing. You have to give yourself rewards, and you have to have a lot of self-discipline, and so on and so forth. Science has found that's wrong. It does not work. The thing that creates new habits is your emotions. It's what's in your heart, not what's in your head.
Oh,
It's your emotions. And when you celebrate that you kept that tiny promise to yourself, number one, your self-esteem is growing, your self-confidence is growing, but the most important thing of all is your brain lights up and says, "Ooh, dopamine. I'm feeling these chemicals go in my brain. I want to do this again." And that's what builds the habit. That's what makes it so that the next morning you get up and you don't even think about it. You just put on your walking shoes. You go out and do as much walking as you feel comfortable doing, and it will slowly start growing. And of course, you can celebrate at the very end when you reach how many steps you are going to do. Maybe you start out with only 200 steps, then you go up to 300 steps, and so on and so forth. But it's that starting point and celebrating that starting point that will really establish this as a habit that becomes automatic. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for that starter step to have complete automaticity, as we call it, to be completely, you don't even have to think about it. You finish the dishes, boom, you're putting on your walking shoes. For me, I finish my quiet time of journaling in the morning, and boom, I'm putting on that podcast that I listen to and then doing my exercises. Does
yeah,
that make
that's your
sense?
signal. Yes.
Mhm.
And then I don't, I'm going to be honest, I don't celebrate me. I don't do that. I don't
And that's
celebrate me.
understandable because all of us, especially us ladies, were brought up to be ladies, and ladies don't call attention to themselves.
No, it
I
was
mean, just think of
prideful.
how shocked we were with Cassius Clay saying, "Sting like a bee, I am the greatest," back in the what is it, the 50s.
Yes, yes, I remember that. He was all about himself. Yeah, no. So that's one thing that I have to get over is celebrating me and saying, "Woohoo, you are a rock star." I have some ladies that I lead, and one of the books that we were going through shared about a golfer who and his wife who had contracted Lyme's disease.
Mhm.
And they obviously they don't feel good some days. That this is a flu-like condition, and there's some brain fog that goes with it, and they're going to be walking through that. They might be going along just like you said, and then boom, feeling lousy. But they created a hashtag keep moving. And so I challenge the ladies that I see each week to create a new hashtag or a mantra for 2025, that when we don't feel like celebrating ourselves or we get into that low spot, that we are pushing forward. So I I probably need to get some pom poms so I can go like this, because that really was a feel good. Like
Well,
I
and some I
felt
have to
terrific
say,
when you
it
did
it's
that.
I am a very exuberant personality myself. So of course I would jump all around. But there's also times that all you need to do is just nod to yourself and smile and say,
I did it. Or some people like to check off on the calendar, did it. Or if they have a list or a planner or whatever they're doing, I can see myself giving myself a thumbs up
yes.
or a
It's just
air high five.
anything that is, I think what's important is it has to be visceral in some way. So if you
Yes.
nod to yourself, smile to yourself, but acknowledge, darn it, I did what I said I was going to do. And that is what really can be life-changing because I think, especially as we age, there aren't as many opportunities to say, "Oh, I accomplished this," and "Oh, I accomplished that," and "Look at me." We don't get that juice of satisfaction with the day.
Yes,
But
I
when you
agree with
keep
you.
these teeny tiny promises to yourself and you get to the end of the day, even if you went through a crisis and maybe you're recovering from surgery, but you did those little things that you told yourself you were going to do, and you acknowledged yourself and said, "I did it. I took the pills. Yes, and now I did the next thing, and now I did the next thing." At the end of the day, you have a sense of pride because you did what you said you were going to do instead of being in a brain fog and a sort of a pandemic mindset of, "I don't even know what happened today. It's all one day, everything's
Yes.
blah." And that's depressing.
It is depressing. It's as depressing as that song and the New Year's resolutions. And I
Yeah.
really just don't want to be a quitter. I want to be, as you say, living a vibrant, healthy, um, exuberant life. I
You,
think more than that, I want to finish well and I want to have that growth mindset. And because I work in the world of health and I see with seniors the importance of using the muscles that we have, including our brain muscles, this is a huge thing. And not only is this timely for me with my foot, but it's timely for seniors who do want to live this exuberant life, that it is possible, that we can reach for more, that we can have this growth mindset. But as much as I would like to tell you that you don't have to get off the couch, unfortunately, I can't say that. All the research is in. The research is in for dementia. The research is in for your general health. The research is in for your emotional health, that putting on your shoes in the morning and starting a habit is going to be in your best interest. And if you're not concerned about
it's the
you,
best, it's really the best anti-aging serum. We keep thinking about
oh,
anti-aging.
I
No,
know, I
it's
need.
anti-aging in here that we need to do.
Yeah, I want to go back a minute because I know that you're a solitaire junkie. You play solitaire on your phone.
Hmm.
When
Hmm.
you get to the end, are you competing against people on your solitaire game, or
No, I'm
do
just
you
playing
get
with
bells and
myself.
whistles when something good happens in your
I
game?
am, but it is interesting, because we were talking a little bit earlier about celebration and why it's so important. And I don't know if you're much better than me. You're not playing solitaire on your phone, but I do confess that it's one of my fun habits is
That's good.
do
I'm
play
okay. I'm
solitaire
okay
on
with
the
you
phone.
doing that. You don't have to answer to me. I'm not your mother. My fun habit is that I like to read for pleasure, but I am more of a nerd,
Yeah.
um, and that kind of thing. So go ahead.
Okay. So anyway, but it's very interesting because if you feel silly celebrating after you've done your tiny habit, whatever that tiny habit might be, what neuroscience has discovered, as we said earlier, was that neuroscience triggers the release of dopamine in your brain, and your brain wants to do it some more. I want to do it some more. When it comes to designing all these self games that are on your cell phone and the YouTube videos and everything, the reason we keep scrolling and keep going back and doing it again and again is that what the developers are using is that very same principle of celebration. When I finish a game and I win it, boom, there's fireworks that go off and there's music and all this kind of stuff. Or just think the last time, if any of you have ever gone to a casino, as soon as you win, all the bells go off. And what do you want to do? You want to go back. Well, it's your brain gets that big release of dopamine, and your brain says, "Ooh, I want to go back and do that again." And I'm going to pull that whatever that is
On
on
the slot machine. True.
slot
So
machine, right?
so New Year's resolution, I'm okay throwing those out the window. I have to find something that's intentional for me. This
Hmm.
is what I heard you say.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
also, not knowing about tiny habits and
Hmm.
BJ Fogg's research, so I'm so thankful to you for bringing this forward, is that I tend to think all or nothing, but I need to throw that picture out and I need to make it small. Very, very, very small. Break it down into its smallest components. Instead of visualizing myself walking 10,000 steps and never getting there, I need to put into practice that at 8 o'clock after my breakfast, I put on my walking shoes and then I have an intention. Breakfast shoes, breakfast shoes, breakfast shoes. But before I go on to my next step, which I don't know what that will be, I need to say breakfast shoes, woohoo! Woo! I did it. Whoa, you go, girl. Amazing. High five, everybody. I don't care if anybody's watching. I'm at the age where I can talk to myself in my car. I talk to myself a lot. I sing to myself so I can celebrate myself. But I have to do that because that is one of the steps that's going to get my brain moving in the
Right.
right.
And then everything else is a bonus.
Yes. And so,
Everything else is a bonus. In
because
fact,
that's,
when I'm teaching my workshop, one of the things during the second week of the workshop that I encourage everybody to do is start celebrating everything that you do during the day that takes that little extra push.
yes,
Because it's so easy as we get older to feel diminished, to
yes.
feel like, oh, I'm getting older. So now I have to push myself to do this. For me, I have to push myself to get the laundry out of the washer, into the dryer, and back upstairs all in one day. Instead of,
Said
so,
over the week.
so when I actually go back downstairs to take the wash out of the washer and put it in the dryer, instead of waiting till the next morning, yay! I did what I said I was going to do.
Yes, and I think that's really vitally important to our living with vitality, because we're not working to achieve the next level in our career. We're not working to get the raise. Nobody is telling us we are doing a great job.
It
Okay?
is time for us to become our own cheerleaders,
Okay.
especially as seniors, because there isn't any, and especially those of us I live on my own. There's nobody standing, well, there's my kitty cat here, but she doesn't jump up and down and say, oh, great, good for you.
Great, Polly, high five.
You filled up your gas tank instead of waiting till tomorrow. You got the laundry done in one day.
Woohoo!
Woohoo.
You might get an extra
Especially if you live
tail
on your
wag
own.
if you remember to give the cat their food, but yeah, you're not
Exactly.
going to get a lot that way. Well, I want to say to our listeners, of course, we would love for you to share this video and share that you liked it and subscribe to this video YouTube channel. Um, I want you to look for Polly and her website, which what was that website one more time?
And that website is www.thrive, little dash, after65.com.
Yes.
And
And
I also do workshops and things through Oasis here in St. Louis.
yes, and of course you can find me wherever you're looking for your favorite podcast, and I'm the brand. So if you see my face, you'll know it's me. But it's called Aging in Place, Strategies and Answers. And we are not going away. We are coming back, and we will be back in February. And Polly, what are we going to talk about in February?
Well, it's Valentine's Day. Some people love Valentine's Day, and for other people, it is sad and depressing. So we're going to talk about loneliness.
I think, wait a minute, one's up and one's down.
Right, right,
Yeah,
right.
we're going to talk
So we're
about
going to talk about loneliness, and maybe we'll talk about how to have a great Valentine's Day on your own.
absolutely. So please join us again in February. Bye, everybody. And join
Bye-bye.
us again on Seniors.
Seniors,
Can
can
we
we talk?
talk?
Bye-bye.
Bye.